Hey y'all. Happy
Hey, y'all.
Friday. Look
Friday
at
Love
that
Fest here.
background. That looks cool.
Look at that. So
Yeah.
pretty up here in the Silver Springs.
In the Silver Springs. I'm in a laughing mood. Rachel's making me laugh. So today we're going to talk about, first of all, happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
We took a little Thanksgiving break.
A little hiatus.
Yeah, we figured you guys
Vacation.
wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
And we're back.
We back.
So today we're going to talk about not faking it. Not faking it till you make it.
Not faking it till you make it.
Right. Being
No.
impeccable and just not faking it. So I think when I think of this topic, like what comes up for me is like having people in your life who you feel like you've got to accommodate.
Okay.
And you got to like change your, like, especially, speaking of Thanksgiving, there are, there are, people maybe in your family or like people that you traditionally get with around the holidays, and you can't be like your authentic self with them, because it would
It's-
make them uncomfortable.
And it's easier for
Mhm.
you not to be. For you.
Right. And it's probably easier because that's the muscle you've been flexing since you were a kid
Whatever, yeah.
or whatever. So that's what you kind of like default to, is just,
It's just easier if I just show up the way they expect
Yeah.
me to, keep my mouth shut, and
let me
go
just
home.
get through it. Right. I think we also do something similar in our like romantic relationships when, like, I've heard people say things like pick your battles and things where it's just like, well, this is compromise. And I think it's really important, first of all, to distinguish between compromise and sacrifice.
Mhm.
'Cause compromise is not you having to sacrifice who you are as a person. Compromise is, let's find what works for both of us. It's balance. It's, it's not all on one person all the time. It's like balance in terms of who has to compromise. A lot of times it's like both of you are compromising at the same time.
Yeah.
And you don't arrive at compromise without communication, in my opinion. But sacrifice, you do arrive at without communication.
Right.
Sacrifice, you are like, I see that this is what they want. I see that, this is what would make them happy. So I'm just going to sacrifice. And what do you think?
And there's a lot of assumption in that too, right? Like, you're not even giving them a chance to communicate that it is or is not what they would want.
Right.
You're just trying to like accommodate for them without their input, which is somewhat enabling because you're not giving them a voice.
Right.
And they might need the stretch of not getting what they want or what's easy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot of challenges with sacrifice. And then meanwhile, if you do it too long or too many times, like there's going to be a built up resentment because you want probably to be celebrated for what you gave up, but
Yeah.
they don't know you're giving it up because you didn't tell them.
Right.
And so it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Whereas compromise is like, hey, I'm coming your way and I need you to know like this is a little bit of a stretch, or I'm putting effort in here, and I also need like you to
to come
return the
my
favor
way.
and come my way sometimes, or we can meet in the middle this time, or whatever it might be.
Yeah. So I think compromise is one of the ways that you could get out of faking it. Like it's an alternative, I guess, to faking it. I think also, and this isn't for everybody, but what I found myself doing at the Thanksgiving table in order to not fake it was just to be unapologetic about it. I think it's something that's like, I don't know if it's a 30s thing or what, but I just kind of was like, you know what? I don't care.
I don't care. Y'all got to deal with me.
Y'all got to deal with me. This is who you're going to get
You
on
invited
today.
me, and here I am.
And here I am. And now that I know who I am,
I think, so that's what I was going to say. I think all of this, like, not faking it is, like, really great in theory, but it starts with knowing who you are. Because one of the things to not faking it is knowing
what the truth is.
what the truth is, right? Like, so if you have convinced yourself that you want the thing they want, or you are okay, it's not a compromise, you're
Yeah.
not sacrificing, but like in your heart of hearts, you're like, I'm not getting what I want.
Right.
But you're masking that or validating giving up what you do want, because maybe you don't know what you really want, then that's gonna be problematic in the long
Mm-hmm. That's
run
true.
too. So it really starts with, one, knowing what it is you want, what feels right to you, what fuels you, fills you,
Mm-hmm.
and sustains you. And then two, instead of without communication and being impeccable, giving up those things, saying, I'm giving up something here, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with compromise today, but not always. Like sometimes I'm gonna need that thing because that's a thing I need.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to know you need it, right?
Right, you got to do the work to first know what you need, to first know what the truth is. And I think that's a really good point, because we are conscious that we're faking it, but we don't know what the truth is sometimes.
Sometimes,
Like
yeah.
we know that whatever we're doing is not the real thing.
And,
But
and I think we like even do it, we're kind of talking about like relationships where we do have communication or
Mhm.
like an intent, like a more intimate relationship. And then, of course, I can think of like every time I walk into a women's restroom, I fake it, right? Like I shift the way I am to make other people more comfortable, which I should not have to do because I belong in that restroom.
yeah,
And I'm doing it to ease them, right?
Yeah.
I'm less comfortable when I do that. But it's like, oh, but if I don't have to hear it, which it doesn't work because I still get
Right.
crap, right? I just
right,
was hoping I would. I was holding my breath. I was softening my face. I was talking in a higher pitched voice.
Yeah.
I was whatever I could do to fem myself up, which
yeah,
is not easy because I'm not feminine.
yeah,
So I think we do it in those ways too, and we can communicate impeccably with strangers, right? I can communicate with body language impeccably. I can let them own their stuff. I can be a gift by stretching them when they say something, and I have to then communicate impeccably about
Right.
who I am and how I'm going to take up space and that I deserve to do that. But the courage it takes to do that is a lot. And the courage it takes in relationships to do
Yeah.
that is a lot.
And when I think about strangers and faking it with strangers, I think we wouldn't do this topic justice if we didn't acknowledge that there are times where you are faking it to make other people comfortable, and it's like a matter of survival. So like I think of, first I thought about it in the workplace, you fake it till you make it. Because that was like sort of like the credo that I lived by when I worked for other people. It was like, if that was me overcoming imposter syndrome, or if that was legit that these people, question my credentials or my achievement, then, or my ability, then, I would also question it. So I would have to fake it till I make it until I, prove myself. Or I can think about times in like with race where I felt like I have to make, the white people that I'm around comfortable so that they don't feel threatened, so that I don't, have any harm done to me.
Right, for your own security.
Right. And so there are definitely times where,
Yeah, and I mean,
faking it.
unfortunately, we live in a society that doesn't necessarily hold people accountable when they're in the wrong, and
Yeah.
especially dominant culture people, which is like your cis white men and women mostly, and so yeah, sometimes it is a survival mechanism, and I get that, and I get that.
Yeah.
And in the relationships where you have ability and choice to not do that, we should make sure we're like
Right.
flexing the muscle of having the courage to say what we want and need and deserve and what we're giving up for the relationship or where we're compromising so we can
Right.
get, appreciation for that.
Yeah, when you can, you should definitely do it. Every time you can,
Yeah.
you should be impeccable
Yeah.
and do it and not fake it.
And we know it takes courage, so
Right.
we support you in finding your courage.
Exactly, yeah. And that, in being vulnerable and being impeccable, the courage to, first of all, like, know yourself, and then to be unapologetic about being who you are.
Yeah.
So
It'll be a gift to all the people you love.
it really will. It really will. So happy Friday. We'll see y'all next week. We teach love.
please.